Happy Friday, everyone, and thanks so much for being with us today. Lots to get to, including Israel's expanded military operations in Syria, and there's a new king atop the podcast world. More on all of that in just a moment, but first, we begin with the latest headlines. Russia launches a massive air attack on Ukraine's energy grid, causing blackouts in several regions and plunging thousands into darkness. This as Ukraine sees below freezing temperatures as harsh winter sets in. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is now ready for a ceasefire with Hamas. Sullivan added that he believes he'll be able to close out a hostage release deal by the end of the month. South Korea's lawmakers introduced a second motion of impeachment against President Yoon Suk-yeol for his declaration of martial law earlier this month. The parliament will vote on the motion tomorrow. Brazilian President Lula da Silva undergoes a second brain surgery as world leaders send their well wishes. Doctors say the Brazilian leader is in perfect neurological condition, but has yet to fully recover. And drug cartels gunned down 2 American citizens in the central Michoacan state of Mexico. The incident happened hours after President Claudia Sheinbaum held a meeting with top security officials over rising cartel violence. We begin with the latest from the Middle East. Israeli troops have pushed deeper into Syria after direct orders from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli army released multiple videos of its troops going far beyond the buffer zone between Israel and Syria in the Golan Heights. Along with the ground incursion, Israel continued with its airstrikes across Syria. Now, the Israeli Air Force struck Syria's air bases and took out any fighter aircraft and air defense systems that could be operated by the Syrian army or its rebels. Netanyahu said Israeli troops will remain deployed in Syria throughout winter. He also added that Israeli troops were operating in Syria to prevent jihadists and Iranian forces from filling the power vacuum left in Syria after Bashar al-Assad's ouster.
People of Iran, as we see history unfold before our very eyes, I can only imagine what you're feeling right now. Your oppressors spent over $30 billion supporting Assad in Syria. Today, after only 11 days of fighting, his regime collapsed into the dust. Your oppressors spent billions supporting Hamas in Gaza. Today, their regime lies in ruins. Your oppressors spent over $20 billion supporting Hezbollah in Lebanon. In a matter of weeks, most of Hezbollah's leaders, its rockets, and thousands of its terrorists went up in smoke.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the region for his 12th visit since the war between Israel and Hamas erupted in October of last year. Secretary Blinken said he's working with Israel, Jordan, and Turkey to prevent the chaos in Syria from spreading across the Middle East.
We're also going to be very focused on preventing any actor, inside or outside the country, from putting their narrow self-interests ahead of the interests of the Syrian people, especially in this delicate moment. And that includes, of course, ISIS, which no doubt will seek to regroup. And I think, as we've demonstrated, the United States is determined to prevent that from happening.
Secretary Blinken also showed support for Israel's military actions in Syria, calling them non-escalatory and self-defense operations.
And the Israelis have been clear about what they're doing and why they're doing it. I think across the board, when it comes to any actors who have real interest in Syria, it's also really important at this time that we all try to make sure that we're not sparking any additional conflicts. That's also an important objective.
Now, Washington is pushing for peace in the region. However, the Biden administration is closely monitoring the chaos in Syria, with the country possibly seeing a return of ISIS and Syrian rebels struggle to unite and agree on power-sharing terms after Assad's removal. And here in the United States, President-elect Donald Trump sat down for an interview with Time magazine after being named Person of the Year by the publication. In the 65-minute interview, Donald Trump spoke about a range of topics, including the economy, the migrant crisis, January 6th, the Russia-Ukraine war, and tensions with Iran. When asked about the possibility of the United States getting dragged into a direct war with Iran, Donald Trump said anything can happen. He further added that all options against Iran are in fact on the table. Now, this comes amid a Wall Street Journal report which states that Donald Trump is weighing options to stop Iran from making nuclear weapons. The report cites several officials from Donald Trump's incoming team who said that direct American airstrikes on Iranian uranium enrichment plants is in fact possible. Now, Donald Trump's history with Tehran is, of course, deeply complicated. In 2020, Donald Trump ordered a drone strike killing a top Iranian general, which sunk ties between Washington and Tehran to historic lows. Since then, Donald Trump has accused Iran of trying to assassinate him multiple times, including this year during the election.
As you know, there have been 2 assassination attempts on my life that we know of, and they may or may not involve, but possibly do, Iran. But we've been threatened very directly by Iran. And I think you have to let them know, because the best way to do it is through the office of the president, that you do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens, as we say.
Now, tensions between the United States and Iran remain tense, particularly after Tehran launched 2 missile attacks on Israel this year, prompting Washington to defend its ally. And now, with the fall of the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria, Iran blamed the United States for wanting to ignite a regional war.
There
should be no doubt that what happened in Syria is the result of a joint plan between the United States and the Zionists. Yes, a neighboring government of Syria has played, is playing, and will continue to play a clear role in this matter. Everyone sees this. But the main actors, the principal agents, the real plotters, the masterminds, and the command center are in America and with the Zionist regime. We have evidence. This evidence leaves no room for doubt. America's foothold will not be strengthened either. By God's grace, God's will and power, America will also be expelled from the region by the resistance front.
Now it remains to be seen what approach Donald Trump takes towards Iran during his second term in office, and how the president-elect plans to end hostilities, if at all, in the region. And staying with the president-elect, Donald Trump has been named Time magazine's Person of the Year for the second time. The year saw Donald Trump campaigning from a New York courtroom, being convicted in a historic hush-money criminal trial, surviving 2 assassination bids, and crushing not 1, but 2 presidential opponents. Having dominated the headlines for all 12 months, the incoming president's influence is set to grow even more, for better or for worse. Here's our report with more.
Donald Trump, the former and future President of the United States, is Time magazine's Person of the Year once again. As soon as he was honored, the 78-year-old arrived at the New York Stock Exchange to ring the opening bell and celebrate the feat alongside his family and well-wishers.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time, I think I like it better this time, actually.
This isn't the first time that the Republican was prestigiously acknowledged by the magazine. Time previously honored him in 2016, following his first win in the presidential election. Trump's victory 8 years ago surely shocked many. His chaotic first term saw the reversal of several environmental regulations, controversial border policies, a fondness for enemy nations, and mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Not to forget, a period of nationwide protests and Trump's first impeachment that ultimately led to him losing the next election to Joe Biden, sparking the violent riots on Capitol Hill on January 6, 2021. The world thought it had just witnessed the end of Trump. But his story was far from over. The billionaire politician, who fights till he gets what he wants, made a comeback with a second presidential bid in 2022. Though for the next 2 years, it all went downhill for Trump. He was only making headlines for FBI investigations at Mar-a-Lago and his 4 criminal indictments. By May 2024, he largely campaigned from a courtroom in New York, where the jury declared him guilty in the historic hush money trial, making him the first former or sitting US president to be convicted of criminal charges. However, Trump accepted the challenge of overturning his fate. At campaign rallies, he doubled down on Biden's old age and mental acuity, framing the outgoing president the weakest link.
Who likes Crooked Joe the best? Who likes Sleepy Joe the best? Crooked Joe? Sleepy Joe? Whoa! You know, that's the first time that Sleepy Joe has ever beaten Crooked Joe. It's the first.
The Republican's point was proven during his sole debate with Biden in June, leading to his opponent's eventual exit from the race. Just 16 days later, the president-elect survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania that left him bloodied but made him a real hero among his supporters. In the following sprint, Trump pushed his pro-economy and anti-immigration rhetoric and polished his wit for hypermasculine podcasts. This strategy worked like a charm as he won the largest percentage of the black vote for a Republican in 50 years and the most Latino votes for any GOP nominee since George Bush. Suburban women, who were thought to side with Democrats due to reproductive health restrictions, also moved towards the Republican. Trump outlasted Vice President Kamala Harris by sweeping all 7 swing states and positioned himself again at the center of the world.
Frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness.
Now, as we watch the president-elect rewrite his fate, Americans wait for a new era. In a matter of weeks, Trump will return to the White House, turning the world around him 180 degrees for the final time.
And from one mercurial billionaire to another, Elon Musk is now on a new mission, this time to make SpaceX's launch site an actual city. The location, which is known as Starbase, is a private industrial complex where SpaceX builds and launches its rockets for Moon and Mars missions. It's located in Boca Chica Beach in the Rio Grande Valley near the Mexican border in Texas. On Thursday, Elon Musk took to his social media platform X to announce his big plan, saying the SpaceX headquarters will officially become Starbase City, Texas. The company has submitted a letter to local officials to start the process of turning Starbase into an incorporated city. The letter requests a vote by local residents to determine whether they are in favor of Starbase as an actual city. Elon Musk already has more than 3,000 employees and contractors working at the site. Now, according to SpaceX, the transition would help make the area a world-class place to live.
Incorporating Starbase will streamline the processes required to build the amenities necessary to make the area a world-class place to live, for the hundreds already calling it home, as well as for prospective workers eager to build humanity's future in space. SpaceX currently performs several civil functions around Starbase due to its remote location, including management of the roads, utilities, and the provision of schooling and medical care for the residents.
Musk has already changed his own residence to Texas back in 2020 after living in California for 2 decades, as Texas has no income tax on individuals. In 2021, he also moved Tesla's headquarters to Texas, but said California will remain the engineering hub for the EV giant. That same year, the SpaceX CEO suggested he wants to create the city of Starbase in South Texas. And earlier this year, the world's richest man announced that he was shifting the main office of SpaceX and social media platform X to Texas. Musk cited a new gender identity law in California as the reason for moving his 2 companies from the state, but experts say he just wants to leverage tax benefits.
Yeah, I think the actual moving because of this is a bit of a head scratcher. I think it's been piling up in terms of Musk wanting to leave California. And I think for him, this is probably a straw that broke the camel's back. I think that's how he'll characterize it. But this has been building up really over years. We've already seen Tesla move, and Musk has been wanting to move more and more to Texas, including space. It's really tax benefits, lower cost maybe on the margin. That's why he'd moved to Texas. But also for Musk, if you look at Tesla and what they've built down in Giga and Austin, more and more of his infrastructure is in Texas. So it does make sense logistically. That's where he spends more time in Texas than California. So I think that makes sense logistically.
Now, Texas officials say despite the talks of Starbase's incorporation in 2021, this is in fact the first time an official petition has been filed by Musk.
Our Legal and Elections Administration will review the petition, see whether or not it complied with all of the statutory requirements, and then we'll go from there.
Now, the road to make Starbase an official city may face difficulties as SpaceX's rapid expansion in the region has drawn pushback from locals over environmental concerns. And our final story is about Joe Rogan, the longtime podcast king. After sitting atop the podcast world, he's now been dethroned by rookie Kylie Kelce, whose debut show rocketed to the top of the charts in just 4 days. Leveraging her newfound fame as the sister-in-law of Taylor Swift's beau, Travis Kelce, Kylie captivated audiences with her personal anecdotes about her family life. While Rogan is yet to comment on the upset his fans have taken to social media with a mix of conspiracy theories, memes, and outright dismissals. We bring you more on this podcast rivalry.
Our fame. What a fickle mistress. One moment you're basking in the glow of chart-topping glory, and the next you're staring at the backside of a rookie podcaster with a dazzling debut. Joe Rogan, the perennial podcasting king, just learned this lesson the hard way when his long-reigning The Joe Rogan Experience was booted off its lofty perch by none other than Kylie Kelce, a first-time host with a knack for spilling tea. Kylie's podcast, Not Gonna Lie, dropped on December 5 and promptly soared to the top of the charts on Apple Music and Spotify. Just within 4 days. Yes, you heard that right. 4 days. Before her first episode even premiered, the show had already locked in the second spot, flexing some serious beginner's luck or maybe a killer PR team. The 32-year-old used her debut episode to unpack everything, from her marriage to retired Philadelphia Eagles player Jason Kelce, to family life, pregnancies, and her sudden thrust into the limelight, thanks to her brother-in-law Travis Kelce's whirlwind romance with pop icon Taylor Swift. Despite claiming she prefers the background, Kylie admitted the past 2 years forced her to embrace the spotlight and control the narrative. Translation, she figured out how to make that Swiftie spotlight work for her. And boy, did it work. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan, podcasting's OG, has maintained radio silence. Fans, however, have not. X lit up with hot takes, conspiracy theories, and memes galore. Rogan loyalists cried foul, accusing Kylie of overloading on social media marketing. Others shrugged, saying rankings are irrelevant to die-hard listeners. Some even admitted they had no idea who Kylie Kelce is, proving that not all of us have Swift-level pop culture radar. Kylie, for her part, seems equally stunned by her meteoric rise. She gushed about the overwhelming support, calling it mind-blowing, and thanking fans for being way too nice about her show. "We're still working out the kinks," she humbly noted, as if she hadn't just casually taken down the reigning champ of the podcasting world. Rogan, 57, has plenty of reasons to keep his cool. Since its 2009 debut, the Joe Rogan Experience has racked up over 2,240 episodes featuring megawatt guests like Elon Musk, Quentin Tarantino, and even Donald Trump. A podcasting behemoth like that doesn't crumble overnight, even if Kylie Kelce is riding the wave of Swiftie magic. And yet, this isn't the first time a woman has ruffled Rogan's feathers. Back in August, his comedy special Burn Boats lost out to the British teen murder mystery A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, only for him to reclaim the title, then lose it again. Comedy, after all, is short-lived, quite literally. So what's the takeaway here? In the ever-evolving podcasting universe, no throne is safe. Rogan might be the veteran, but Kylie's success is proof that a compelling narrative, a sprinkle of pop culture buzz, and a well-timed launch can shake up even the most entrenched giants. As the podcasting king mulls his next move, Kylie might want to enjoy her moment while it lasts. Because if there's one thing we've learned, fame is less of a lifetime achievement and more of a revolving door.
That's our show for today, everyone. We certainly thank you for tuning in today and all week. We hope you have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you right back here on Monday. Donald Trump's return to the Oval Office is imminent. He will soon take the oath of office and once again lead the nation.
God spared my life for a reason.
President-elect Donald Trump's first priority tackling illegal immigration and securing the nation's borders.
We're going to fix our borders.
The incoming administration has prioritized the Russia-Ukraine war. Can they succeed in ending one of the world's most challenging conflicts?
I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
And as he returns to the White House, will Donald Trump resume a bruising trade war with the world's second largest economy, China?
If China or some other country is behaving badly, we have things called tariffs.
All of this and more right here on Firstpost America.
Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50